Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I am so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you, whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 158th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and this week it's all about Croatia from the kids' perspective. Last week, I shared a lot of details about our 12-day trip to Croatia, which included our week-long yacht trip on the Lastovica. This week, I have some very special guests helping me with this episode, because I am going to let you experience Croatia uncensored from my boys' perspectives. That's right. My boys, London, age 13, and for the first time ever on radio, I don't know if the radio world is ready for him yet, my 8-year-old Christian. They are both here with me and excited to share their take on our summer adventure. Here we go. First off, boys, tell me what you were both most looking forward to about going to Croatia before we went. I'm going to start with you, Christian.
So I was most looking forward to the yacht just because I've never been on one, and I guess I've just always wanted to experience it because it's just a whole lot smaller than a cruise ship, not even a meta cruise ship, but just a normal sized one, and I liked it. So that was my favorite thing that I was most excited about.
Good, thank you. What about you, London?
I would say I was most looking forward to the journey there because as an aviation enthusiast, I just love everything to do with aircraft, especially a flight across the Atlantic Ocean. So I was very excited about it.
Thank you. Okay, now those were your expectations before the trip. It's been a few weeks since we've gotten back from Croatia. I want to hear how those expectations turned into realities. So looking back now that you've been, what would you say was your favorite part of the trip? Christian, what was your favorite part?
I still love the yacht, but my favorite thing was probably the yacht, but I did like being in Split and everything, and I like just going around and seeing how they lived.
So you mentioned Split, and we talked about this last week. I'm glad you said that. That is where we stayed. It was our pre-stay before the yacht, and it is the second largest city in Croatia. And what was meant to really be kind of like I said, our pre-stay, so we didn't miss the yacht experience, it was surprising to me, too, how much I really enjoyed that part of our trip. That's great, Christian. What about you, London? What was your favorite part?
I would say that my favorite part of the entire trip was just being able to go to all the small little towns and just be able to experience it from a more intimate view and just be able to walk around and feel like you were not at a place and you're not in a touristy area, but that you were among the locals and getting to experience their daily evenings and just seeing how life was there.
I agree, because unlike a regular cruise experience where you're there for 8 hours or less, and then you're gone and cruising at night, we cruised only during the day. It was like we had a floating hotel. We could get on and off as much as we wanted, and then we didn't leave out till the next morning. So you really felt like you were in the heart of the places. I love that too. All right, let's talk about food. What was your absolute favorite thing you ate on this trip, Christian?
So, in Europe, they don't have ice cream, but they have gelato. And my favorite thing I think I ate this in Split. It was probably tiramisu gelato. It was just really good, and I loved every flavor, but that was just my favorite flavor. And I definitely liked it more than ice cream, probably.
I agree with you. We had gelato once a day, sometimes twice a day. I think one time Christian and I even had it 3 times. So we had it thrice in one day. And I'm with you. Tiramisu is my personal favorite as well. What about you, London? What was your favorite thing you ate?
My favorite thing that I ate was a vegetable risotto our second night in Split, because it felt very authentic. Not a single thing tasted like it had been canned or that had been like preserved or anything. It tasted like it was fresh from the countryside, and just all the flavors were there. It was a very a nice dish, and I just really enjoyed it.
The 3 of us that night had vegetable risotto. We even sent Christian and your dad on a wild goose chase while we waited for that perfect spot at that restaurant. It was totally worth it, though. But your dad had something different. Do you guys remember what kind of risotto he had that night?
He had, I think, crawfish risotto.
No?
I believe it was cuttlefish risotto. So It had
Yes.
the black ink inside of the risotto. So it was known to be a delicacy and a very good dish. But when you looked at it, it definitely did not look that attractive.
So, Christian, you were right on target that it was a seafood risotto.
So-
You just had the southern style.
So I had the black ink in mind, and that's what I meant, but I just didn't. I forgot.
That's okay. That's cuttlefish risotto was the name, but think of it as a squid type risotto. Okay. What about, speaking of unusual things that your dad ate, what would you say was the most unusual thing you both ate? Christian, let's start with you.
I think I have never tried truffle, so that was that was probably the most unusual thing I ate, and my first time ever trying it.
Okay, so truffle is amazing. I love mushrooms. Most of us in our family love mushrooms. So truffle has that very earthy taste to it. It's a delicacy. And I had a truffle, both pasta and omelet. So you had a lot of truffle this trip. That's a good one. All right, London, what about you? Something unusual you tried?
So there are actually 2 things that I tried on the yacht that were both very unusual to me, both first times, and I don't know if I ever saw them, if I would eat them, but basically I tried scampi. So they brought the whole scampi and we had to tear it apart and everything. So it was a very unique experience.
Which actually looks like the crawfish Christian was just talking about.
Yeah, it does. And I also tried octopus. So I didn't dislike it. It was just very chewy, in my opinion.
Christian and I did not have either one of those. Being vegetarians, we skipped that. So talking about unexpected things, since we talked about unexpected delicacies you tried, what about an unexpected experience you had on the trip in general? Christian?
I guess it was just unexpected how fun the yacht would be. I mean, like, I knew it would be amazing, but it was just so good because as I mentioned earlier, it's different than the cruise ships, and you just get to know everybody, and it's just that special connection with people that is different.
I love that because you just came from earlier in the year, one of the largest cruise ships in the entire world, which had everything you could think of: ice skating rinks, wave simulators, rock climbing wall, laser tag, and the yacht did not have any of those, but you still had a great time. You're right. It's all about the people. What about you, London? What was unexpected for you on this trip?
I would say the most unexpected experience I had was whenever we would have our swim stop. So our yacht would anchor probably about 40 feet off of like a nearby island. And it was just like a small island that all these different vessels would park around. And it was probably about 40 foot on average depth where we stopped. And you should just get out, swim. You could hang on to the yacht. They had paddle boards. And several times, 2 times, I was able to paddleboard to the nearby island and just get the paddleboard out of the water and just walk around for a minute before returning. So it was a very unique experience. It sort of helped have a very nice feeling being able to go to that island and then travel back to the yacht, and just like a good mode of transportation as well.
So you were almost having your own Robinson Crusoe experience, because all these little islands, no one lived there.
Yes.
It was just like a little island dotting in the Adriatic.
Yes, yeah. It was definitely unlike any other experience.
So I have one more question for you that we'll be able to have time for in the radio portion. Is there anything that you think could have made this trip even better for you or more memorable for you? Christian, what do you think?
If the flight wasn't as long.
I agree. If it was a shorter flight to Croatia, I would have enjoyed that as well. What about you, London?
Mine is also revolving around the flight. I feel like not even the length is the issue with that. I just felt like our flight on the way over was a little bit cramped, and maybe it was just because it was through the night, so everybody was tired. But it just felt like there was no space to really move around, which is not a problem that I come around very often on aircraft. I normally find them very enjoyable to be on, and I didn't find that to be an issue on any of our other 3 flights, but it was just that first one over the Atlantic.
I agree, and that was what you were most looking forward to. So it's adjusting expectations, right? What you thought would be your favorite part was your least favorite part. Well, that's all the time we have for the radio portion, but stay tuned, because I have a few more questions that I would like to ask Christian and London when we're back. That's it for this edition of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. Tune in every Monday at 11 a.m. to turn your travel dreams into travel plans. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for an interview or for access to this interview, go to our website, shark1023.com, and click on the podcast tab.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.